It's week 5 of the fantasy football season, and when you're talking about wide receiver rankings, there's one question that needs to be asked. The problem is, nobody's probably going to agree on an answer. That question, where should Cooper Kupp be ranked? What is going on, Headliner Nation, where today we're talking about my quick and dirty top 30 wide receivers for week 5 in fantasy football. Now, I've seen a few people leave comments over these videos the last few weeks asking about flex rankings. Now, if you're looking for flex rankings or kicker rankings or defense rankings, we do those as well, but they're a member perk. So consider hitting that little blue join button here right underneath the video. Not only are you going to get those additional rankings, but you're going to get access to Discord, some bonus film reviews, and a Sunday morning members only live stream. But for now, we're talking about the quick and dirty top 30 wide receivers, and we're kicking it off right here. Number 1, it's Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. And just a reminder, if you're looking for more detailed information on these players, that's in the start and sit videos that are already posted on the channel. This is meant to be a quick run through, and like I mentioned, Tyreek Hill right here at the top of the list in a matchup this week going up against the New York Football Giants, a team that is in disarray right now, and we know that Tyreek Hill can put up big numbers. Number 2, it's Justin Jefferson. The only reason he's not number 1, Kansas City's defense pretty freaking solid so far here in 2023. What about number 3? This is where I have Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills. They're going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Now, Diggs is coming off another 100-yard game in which he saw 3 touchdowns in a matchup going up against Jacksonville. I got him at number 3. Then number 4, this is where I have A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles in a matchup this week going up against the Los Angeles Rams, a Rams defense that's playing pretty well. But ever since A.J. Brown was seen on the sidelines talking to Jalen Hurts, looking a little bit upset, the squeaky wheel has been overly greased the past 2 weeks. That's why A.J. Brown's at number 4. Number 5, this is where I have Davante Adams, a revenge game for Davante Adams going up against his former team, the Green Bay Packers. Now, if anyone can exploit this secondary in Green Bay, you gotta think it's Davante Adams. He spent so many years there. Plus, now in Las Vegas, he's absolutely peppered with targets. Sure, overall his yardage totals may be down, but like we said earlier in the offseason, he's racking up them receptions. Number 6, this is where I have CeeDee Lamb in a matchup going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Lamb has really suffered this year because the Dallas Cowboys continually have 3-score leads and aren't relying on throwing the ball very much. I'm expecting this game to be a little bit closer. That's why I got CeeDee Lamb at 6. But then we move on to number 7, and this is where I have Jamar Chase in a great matchup going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we know that Joe Burrow isn't 100% healthy, but we also know that right now, the safety blanket of Joe Burrow is Jamar Chase. We also know right now, there's a chance that we don't have T. Higgins in this ball game either, which means more volume going the way of Jamar. I got him at number 7, which will then take us down to number 8. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, hashtag Doomtar, down below in the comment section. Now, we know he's been super consistent on the season so far, but this Carolina defense really held the Minnesota Vikings passing offense in check last week. Plus, we know there's the return of Jameson Williams. Amon-Ra still the safest option in that offense. Got him at number 8. Number 9, it's Puka Nacua of the Los Angeles Rams in a matchup going up against Philadelphia. Everybody wants to know about Cooper Kupp, and all signs are pointing to Cooper Kupp playing this week, but that does not mean that all of a sudden Puka Nacua isn't going to be a thing in this offense. There is no way he was going to sustain the pace that we've seen the first month of the season. At some point, it was going to come back down. And even though you have to think that the ceiling is going to come down, he's still going to be a big part of this offense with Cooper Kupp in the lineup. Add to the fact they're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know can put points on the board. I still got Puka at 9. Number 10, it's Jalen Waddle in his easiest matchup since week 1. A lot of people wanting to panic on Jalen Waddle. I'm not panicking just yet. I got him at 10. 11, this is where I have Brandon Ayuk, the clear number 1 wide receiver for Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Now a matchup going up against Dallas, who really hasn't been tested by a top-tier offense yet. They're about to be in the San Francisco 49ers, and that's why Brandon Ayuk's at number 11. Which will then take us down to Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles in that matchup going up against the Los Angeles Rams. We've talked about it a couple times already. I expect a lot of offense. I expect a big play or 2 from Devontae Smith. I got him at 12. 13 is Terry McLaurin, has finally re-overtaken that wide receiver 1 role in Washington. He's healthy, he's playing a full set of snaps, and he's starting to see double-digit targets in a matchup against Chicago. I got him at 13. 14, the guy he's playing in that game, it's DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears, who's seen himself above 11 fantasy points in 3 straight ball games now in a matchup going up against Washington. I'm hoping the Bears can build off the momentum of week 4. Got DJ Moore at number 14. 15 is Chris Olave, and this one absolutely pains me, but they're going to Foxborough, to New England, to face the Patriots defense, a solid Patriots defense, but it's an injured Derek Carr that has me even more worried. We saw how limited this offense was last week with the injury to Derek Carr, and I hate what that does to Chris Olave, so he's dropped all the way down to 15. 16, Michael Pittman, Indianapolis Colts, in a great matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, the first 3 weeks of the season, we saw Michael Pittman reach double-digit targets. Didn't do it last week, looking for the bounce back. That's why he's at 16. And then 17, here we go. This is where I have Cooper Kupp of the Los Angeles Rams in this matchup going up against Philadelphia. Everything on paper, everything in the news says that Cooper Kupp is going to be a full go. But we know how teams deceive people and media deceives people all the freaking time. I cannot and will not put Cooper Kupp inside my top 12 until I see him on the field playing a full set of snaps. This team has found success this year with Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell and Kyron Williams. There isn't an overwhelming need to thrust Cooper Kupp into 100% workload right off the bat, coming off of an injury that was really pretty serious. The last thing they want to do is push him too hard in his first game back, risk a re-injury, and lose him for the season. I feel like keeping him right here at number 17 is the best of both worlds. But just know, there is a chance that if you start Cooper Kupp and he is limited on a snap count similar to what we saw last week from Christian Watson, you could leave your fantasy matchup a little bit discouraged if he can't find the end zone. That's why I got him at number 17. 18, this is where I have Christian Kirk in that game in London against the Buffalo Bills. Kirk, right now, the volume guy in Jacksonville. He may not be getting the touchdown opportunities that we see from Calvin Ridley, but he is seeing close to double-digit targets each and every week, and that's why he's at 18. 19, this is the highest I've probably ranked Garrett Wilson since the injury of Aaron Rodgers. And if you own Garrett Wilson in fantasy football, this may be your best opportunity for a big game because they're going to be on the road facing the worst defense in football, the Denver Broncos. Which will then take us down to number 20. It's Adam Thielen of the Carolina Panthers, the binky of Bryce Young right now, on the road in Detroit. A Detroit offense that's pretty freaking lethal. They're going to have all of their offensive weapons on the field at the same time for the first time in week 5. Carolina going to have to throw the ball to try to keep pace. Adam Thielen at number 20. 21, this is where I have Christian Watson. He should see a bump in snaps after last week's showing, and they have a decent matchup on the road in Vegas against the Raiders. This offensive line in Green Bay is banged up to say the least right now, and the running game may struggle to get going once again. I look for a whole lot of passing from Jordan Love, got Christian Watson at 21. 22, this is where I have Calvin Ridley in that difficult matchup going up against Buffalo, a Buffalo defense that really shelved Miami's offense last week. You have to think they're capable of doing something similar this week to the Jacksonville Jaguars, so Calvin Ridley in his lower volume down here at 22. 23, this is where I have Zay Flowers. I did not like the matchup for Zay Flowers last week, and we all saw why. This one, I love a lot more. He's on the road in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is giving up points in bunches to opposing wide receivers. Got Zay Flowers at 23. 24, this is where I have Nico Collins, who's had some absolutely ridiculously huge games here so far in 2023. But this matchup isn't as easy as a lot of people think it is. The Atlanta secondary is playing pretty well. And as much as I love Nico Collins, I had to temper expectations. I got him at 24. 25, it's Marquise Hollywood Brown. I've been undervaluing this guy all year long, and he continues to prove me wrong week in and week out. Now in a matchup at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's proven so far here in 2023 that he gets enough volume and has a high enough touchdown upside to at least be in flex consideration. I got him at number 25. 26 is Deebo Samuel. Obviously, he would be higher if he's healthy, but last week he was nothing but a decoy, and he's still limited this week. Until we get further word on Deebo and how healthy he is, he's down here at 26. 27 is Jakobi Meyers. He's got that matchup at home this week going up against the Green Bay Packers. But most importantly, they have Jimmy G back under center, which means Jakobi Meyers and Devontae Adams are going to be peppered with targets. That's why he's at number 27. 28 is Jerry Jeudy in a matchup going up against the New York Jets. I kind of expect Courtland Sutton to get sauced up this week, which means we could see an increase in volume going the way of Jerry Jeudy. He's at 28. 29 is Romeo Doubs in that game on the road against the Raiders I mentioned just a little bit earlier. I expect Jordan Love to have to throw the ball in this ball game. That's why Doubs is at 29. And then 30, it's Gabe Davis, Mr. Touchdown or Bust in that game in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But because I'm a man of the people, you know I got a few guys on the outside looking in. If I'm being completely honest, from like 25 on in my rankings, a lot of these names could be interchangeable. They're all super, super close. The first one up here has to be Tyler Boyd. A lot of people asking questions about Tyler Boyd and whether or not he's startable with the T. Higgins injury. If T. Higgins is 100% ruled out, I don't hate it, but I'm really hoping it's more of like a wide receiver 3 option or a flex play at best. I really don't want to rely on him being a top 24 option this week if I don't have to. What about George Pickens? You didn't see him in my top 30, but this isn't a George Pickens issue. It sounds like they're going to roll out Kenny Pickett and have him play through this injury. We've already seen what quarterbacks playing through injuries have done to wide receivers so far this year, like Derek Carr and Joe Burrow. I hate what that does to the potential ceiling of a wide receiver. That's why George Pickens was a little bit lower. What about Tank Dell in Houston? A tough matchup for them going up against Atlanta, but we aren't really seeing the week in and week out consistency from Tank Dell like we are for the most part from Nico Collins. Now, I would love to have Tank Dell just locked into my flex spot, but after what happened last week, that hurts a lot of confidence when playing him in fantasy football. Tutu Atwell, what if they do limit Cooper Kupp? Tutu Atwell still has an opportunity at a big game going up against Philadelphia. T. Higgins, we just mentioned him when talking about Tyler Boyd. We don't know whether or not he's going to play. The problem would be if he does play, because if he does play, we run the risk of what we had with Deebo last week. Is he going to be some kind of a decoy? Is he going to play for 2 series and then it hurts too much and he's going to come out of the ball game? There's so much risk. Honestly, the best case scenario for T. Higgins would be for him to sit this week from a fantasy football perspective. What about Jordan Addison? Didn't do anything last week, but did have a chance at a deep touchdown that was just underthrown a little bit. They have a tough matchup going up against Kansas City. Courtland Sutton, I mentioned him when we talked about Jerry Jeudy. Could he get sauced up this weekend? He's been the most reliable option in this passing offense, which hasn't been too bad in Denver to start the season. And then lastly, what about DeAndre Hopkins? He's got a great matchup going up against Indianapolis. The problem is his ceiling is ridiculously low in this passing offense of Tennessee. He hasn't found the end zone. He's not even getting 80 yards a week, and it's just a huge headache having to rely on him week in and week out in fantasy football. But like I always say in all of my rankings videos, I'm sure your rankings may look a little bit different than mine, and that is okay. There's no reason to get butthurt over rankings. If all of our rankings matched, what would be the purpose in even watching them and listening to them? The most important thing about a ranking show to begin with is hearing different people's perspectives, because when you hear those other perspectives, maybe it opens your eyes to things that you weren't thinking about. But when we come together as a community, we build some damn banger rankings, and that's for sure. But the time has come for me to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and then like always, do your part to make the world a better place.